let's talk about what's been brewing behind the scenes at Leeds United, because the atmosphere around the club is far more intense than some players ever expected. For anyone who thought the championship was a walk in the park, Tanaka's recent comments prove otherwise. The Japanese midfielder opened up during the international break, and what he shared about his first year in English football paints a picture that a lot of fans don't usually get to see. After a long, grueling season filled with nonstop pressure, Tanaka admitted he reached a breaking point. He said he felt emotionally empty. Every week, he stepped onto the pitch thinking he didn't even want to play, not because he didn't love the game, but because the pressure was so intense that he started believing any mistake he made could cost the team precious points. And in a league as brutal as the Championship, where promotion can be the difference between footballing heaven and financial hell, that's not just a figure of speech, that's reality. For Tanaka, the volume of matches was already far more than what he was used to back in Bundesliga 2, and the psychological toll started to weigh heavily. He revealed that he had never played that many games in a single season before, and doing it in such a high-pressure environment, where expectations from fans and club leadership were sky-high, pushed him to the edge. He didn't just have to adapt to English football, he had to shoulder the burden of a club that desperately needed to return to the Premier League. It's one thing to play in a promotion-chasing team, but it's something else entirely to play for a club like Leeds, with its massive global fan base, storied past, and a legacy that feels more like a mission than just a job. He even said it himself. He didn't really understand how big Leeds was until he arrived. The stadium, the fans, the history, it hit him all at once. Suddenly, he wasn't just a footballer trying to prove himself in a new country. He was a soldier with a mission: get Leeds back to where they belong. It's powerful stuff, and it highlights something really important. Players coming from outside the UK often don't fully grasp what they're stepping into until it's too late. The physicality is one thing, but it's the emotional and mental demands that truly test them. And Tanaka's not the only one who's spoken out. Gabby Goodmanson also said recently that the expectations at Leeds were heavier than he anticipated. That tells you something. It's not just hype. The club may be in the Championship one season and back in the Premier League the next, but the weight of the badge never changes. And if Leeds really want to build something sustainable, that has to be part of the strategy. Understanding that new signings need time to adapt, not just physically, but mentally too. Because this is not just another club. This is Leeds United. Now, despite all that pressure in all those games, Tanaka stayed committed. During the international break, instead of flying off with Japan, he stayed behind to finish his injury rehab and reflect on what went down last season. He also acknowledged something a bit more businesslike. If Leeds hadn't been promoted, he likely would have been sold. That's the harsh financial reality of football these days. He was brought in for a relatively modest fee, had a solid season, and from a financial fair play point of view, Leeds would have been tempted to cash in and potentially double or triple their money. But they made it. They got over the line. And now Tanaka gets a shot at the Premier League with the club he fought so hard for, not just physically on the pitch, but mentally as well. And fans will be hoping that this season, with some of that weight lifted and his body recovering, he can really show what he's capable of at the top level. Speaking of tough transitions, let's talk about Mateo Joseph and his early struggles in Spain. The young striker left Leeds to get regular first-team football with Real Murcia in La Liga, and while it's still early days, it hasn't exactly been smooth sailing. He's played 4 matches so far, starting the last 3, but he's yet to register a goal or an assist. Now, it's not entirely on him. His team hasn't exactly been creating tons of chances. In fact, in all those games, Joseph has only had 1 big chance created for him and has managed just 3 shots on target. But at the same time, it's hard to ignore that he's looked a bit off the pace. Against Espanyol, which was supposed to be a great opportunity for him to break his duck, he underwhelmed. He struggled to find the right spaces, misplaced passes, and generally didn't look sharp. UK commentators during the broadcast even said that he couldn't be surprised when he was subbed off in the 65th minute. It's a reminder that even for talented youngsters, breaking into first-team football abroad is no easy task. Joseph talked a lot about being ready to prove himself, and he showed plenty of confidence, which is great to see from a young player, but it's one thing to talk and another to deliver. The competition at Murcia is stiff, and if he wants to keep his place, he's going to have to raise his game quickly. especially with Atletico Madrid on the schedule next. That's not exactly a forgiving matchup for a player looking to find his rhythm. But from Leeds' perspective, this loan still has value. Even if Joseph doesn't light it up in Spain, he's getting exposed to a different footballing culture, playing against top-level defenders, and learning what it takes to perform at a consistent level week in, week out. It might not be pretty right now, but this kind of experience can be exactly what helps a young striker turn potential into performance. Now shifting gears, let's address one of the names that keeps popping up in the transfer rumor mill, Harry Wilson. The question is pretty simple. Is he really what Leeds United need? According to reports, the door is very much open for Leeds to move for Wilson in January, especially with his contract situation at Fulham starting to wind down. But let's not get swept away by the headlines. On paper, Wilson fits a need. He's a left-footed right winger, can cut inside, can take set pieces, and has Premier League experience. But when you actually dive into the numbers, the story isn't quite as compelling as some would like to believe. Let's start with the reputation. Wilson is often labeled as a set-piece specialist. But is that fair? Last season he scored 6 goals for Fulham, and not a single one came from a direct free kick. The season before that, he had 5 goals, with only one from a free kick. So while he can take them, he's not exactly bending them into the top corner every other week. In terms of assists, he racked up 7 last season across all competitions, but only one of those came in the Premier League, and 3 were from corner kicks in cup games. So yes, there's some contribution there, but is it enough to say he's the creative spark Leeds have been searching for all summer? It's debatable. Daniel Farke wants someone who can play wide or as a number 10 and bring that X factor, consistent goals, assists, and a bit of magic from set plays. Wilson might tick some of those boxes, but not all of them. And you have to ask, is this move about genuinely believing Wilson is the missing piece, or is it more about availability and price? With Fulham bringing in new wingers, Wilson may be worried about his game time, and Leeds could potentially get him for a reduced fee. But if the goal is to compete in the Premier League and not just survive, is he the guy you want leading your creative line? That's the dilemma. And it wouldn't be surprising if Leeds are also weighing whether to offload an asset to fund a move for someone with a higher ceiling. Because while Wilson is experienced and steady, you could argue Leeds needs someone more dynamic, more explosive, someone who can change a game in a moment. Still, the links are real, and a January move remains on the table. Whether it happens or not will likely depend on where Leeds find themselves come the new year and what kind of statement they want to make with their squad building. Let's now turn our attention to something that might not make headlines in the transfer window, but could be just as important for the future of the club, the Leeds United Foundation's open trials. On the surface, this might seem like just another routine event for local youngsters, but when you really think about it, this is where the next generation of Leeds stars could be found. The trials are scheduled for the end of October and will be held at Leeds Grammar School's 4G pitch. And while that might sound like just another training day, for the boys showing up between the ages of under 6 and under 14, this is a shot at walking the very first steps toward Elland Road. The opportunity is limited to players not already registered with another professional academy, which makes sense, and there's a small fee involved. But the key here is what it represents. This is Leeds putting real effort into scouting raw, local talent, kids who might not have agents, flashy highlight reels, or youth caps, but who could still have that spark that makes them worth developing. And while most eyes will be on the senior team's push in the Premier League, moments like this are vital. Because no matter how much money clubs throw around during transfer windows, the best squads always have a backbone built through the academy. It gives the club identity, it saves money, and more importantly, it creates players who understand what it means to wear the shirt. Leeds has a proud history of developing players from within, and the fact that they're keeping that door open with events like these shows a long-term strategy that goes beyond just making a quick return to the top. Of course, most of the kids at these trials won't make it to the first team. That's just the nature of football. But even if 1 or 2 stand out, the pathway is there. And in 5 or 6 years, we might be talking about a Premier League debut that started on a cold Friday in October at a school pitch just down the road from Elland Road. But while the club builds for the future, the immediate focus is still firmly on climbing the Premier League table. And some of the recent discussion around Leeds possibly finishing above Manchester United this season has sparked quite a bit of debate. Now, on the surface, that might sound a bit wild. Manchester United, after all, are one of the biggest clubs in the world, packed with superstars, commercial deals, and Champions League expectations. But when you strip away the brand and look at recent form, things start to get a little more interesting. Ray Parlour, the former Arsenal winger, went on record saying he could see it happening, Leeds finishing the season above their fierce northern rivals. And while that might seem like just another pundit stirring the pot, there's data backing this up too. According to Opta's latest metrics, Leeds have a statistically better chance of avoiding relegation than Manchester United do. And that alone tells you just how turbulent things have become over at Old Trafford. It's been more than 3 decades since Leeds finished above Manchester United in the top flight. That was all the way back in the 1991 to 1992 season. Since then, the gap between the two clubs has grown wider and wider, both financially and in terms of on-pitch success. But this season feels different. Manchester United have stumbled out of the gates, and their squad, despite being filled with talent on paper, looks disjointed. Meanwhile, Leeds are playing with clarity, structure, and, most importantly, belief. Even their recent loss over the weekend was marred by a freak own goal. Otherwise, they were on track to pick up another valuable point. And with teams like West Ham, Aston Villa, and United themselves all struggling to find rhythm, Leeds have a real opportunity here. The key will be capitalizing on this slow start from some of the Premier League's usual suspects. If Leeds can pick up points now, create space between themselves and the bottom half of the table, and build momentum heading into the festive period, that Manchester United comparison won't seem so far-fetched after all. That's why this upcoming match against Wolverhampton Wanderers is so important. Wolves have had their own shaky start to the campaign, and this is the kind of fixture Leeds need to target. It's not just about beating teams in the relegation fight. It's about stacking early season wins, building confidence, and getting players like Tanaka, Somerville, and Rutter firing on all cylinders. There's also a tactical element here. The teams that survive and thrive in the Premier League are the ones that find consistency before the chaos of the winter schedule kicks in. Leeds have a decent mix of youth and experience, and while the squad is still gelling, the signs have been promising. But the challenge is to turn promise into results, because good performances without points won't mean much come April. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on Leeds United. And make sure to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Whispers are swirling through Elland Road, and Leeds United fans might have reason to get excited, or at least curious. Rumor has it that ARTEM DOVBYK, the Ukrainian forward who has been turning heads with his clinical finishing and intelligent movement, is poised to join the Whites. Sources close to the club suggest that negotiations have moved swiftly behind the scenes, though nothing has been officially confirmed. DOVBYK's name has been on the radar of several Premier League outfits, thanks to his knack for finding space and his ability to convert chances under pressure. Known for his powerful strikes and aerial presence, the 26-year-old striker could provide Leeds with the firepower they have been craving in recent seasons. Fans of the Yorkshire club have long lamented the lack of a consistent goal threat, and DOVBYK might just be the piece that fills that void. Insiders say that the Ukrainian's move is part of a broader plan by Leeds to strengthen their attacking options and challenge for higher positions in the league. Marcelo Bielsa's successors have been experimenting with lineups, trying to find the perfect combination of pace, creativity, and finishing. Adding DOVBYK could signal a shift toward a more direct, lethal approach in front of goal, while also giving the manager flexibility to rotate without sacrificing quality. Of course, the football grapevine thrives on speculation, and it's unclear exactly when, or if, the deal will be finalized. But the mere suggestion of DOVBYK donning the famous white kit has already sparked conversations among supporters. Social media channels are buzzing with opinions, predictions, and highlight reels as fans weigh the potential impact of the new recruit. Some see him as the missing link to boost Leeds' attacking threat. Others caution that adapting to the Premier League is no small task. Whether this is a sign of Leeds' ambition or just another fleeting rumor remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. ARTEM DOVBYK's name is now firmly on the tongues of those who follow the club closely. If the deal does go through, Elland Road could be the stage for a new chapter in the striker's career, and perhaps a much-needed spark for a team hungry to climb the league table. Until then, the excitement and speculation continue, keeping supporters on the edge of their seats. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep getting exclusive news about Leeds United, be sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to reading your comments and opinions. See you in the next video, Leeds fans.